Join me as I dive deep into the dark history of Stalin's Red Terror and try to uncover the shocking truths that have been hidden for so long. Joseph Stalin is one of history's most infamous dictators, and for good reason. At the height of his power in the Soviet Union, he unleashed a wave of terror that would leave a lasting impact on Soviet society. This period, known as the Red Terror, was marked by brutal suppression, widespread fear, and a complete disregard for human life. In this video, we're going to explore the shocking truth about Stalin's Red Terror and examine the devastating effects it had on those who lived through it. During Stalin's regime, the Soviet Union was plagued by political purges, oppression, and an atmosphere of fear that permeated every level of society. The government was notorious for its corruption and cronyism, with Stalin using his position to reward his allies and crush his enemies. The secret police, known as the NKVD, were given carte blanche to round up and disappear anyone deemed a threat to the regime. This led to a climate of fear and mistrust, where even the most loyal citizens lived in constant terror of being accused of treason. As Stalin's power grew, so did the scope of his purges, with entire groups of people being targeted and eliminated. The Communist Party itself was not immune, with many high-ranking officials falling victim to Stalin's paranoia. The Soviet Union was transformed into a vast, surveillance state, where the government had total control over every aspect of people's lives. Stalin's regime was also marked by a complete disregard for human life. The Soviet Union's forced labor camps, known as the Gulags, were infamous for their brutal conditions and high mortality rates. Millions of people were imprisoned in these camps, where they were subjected to forced labor, starvation, and unimaginable brutality. The conditions in these camps were so harsh that they became a slow-motion death sentence for many of those imprisoned. The Soviet government was notorious for its use of famine as a tool of oppression, with many regions being intentionally starved to death. This was particularly true in Ukraine, where Stalin's policies led to one of the worst human-made famines in history, resulting in the deaths of millions of innocent people. The Soviet Union was a country where the government was willing to do whatever it took to maintain its grip on power, no matter the human cost. The Red Terror was also marked by a complete lack of accountability. Stalin's government was notorious for its use of torture, forced confessions, and show trials. The concept of justice was turned on its head, with innocent people being rounded up and executed on trumped-up charges. The Soviet government even went so far as to erase people from history, with entire families being eliminated and their existence denied. This was a time when the government was willing to do whatever it took to crush dissent, no matter how brutal the methods. The methods employed during the Red Terror were truly shocking. Mass arrests, show trials, and the use of secret police were just a few of the tools used to maintain control. The NKVD was given a free hand to round up and disappear anyone deemed a threat, with many people being taken from their homes in the dead of night and never seen again. The Soviet government even went so far as to use poison and assassination to eliminate its enemies, with many high-ranking officials falling victim to Stalin's paranoia. The Red Terror was a time of unimaginable brutality, where the government was willing to stop at nothing to maintain its grip on power. One of the most shocking aspects of the Red Terror is the sheer scale of repression. Millions of people were imprisoned, tortured, and executed during Stalin's reign, with many more being displaced or forced to flee their homes. The Soviet government was responsible for some of the worst atrocities of the 20th century, with entire groups of people being targeted and eliminated. The Red Terror was a time when the concept of humanity was turned on its head, with the government treating its citizens as nothing more than pawns to be used and discarded. The personal stories of the victims of the Red Terror are truly heartbreaking, with many families being torn apart and destroyed by Stalin's brutal policies. The victims of the Red Terror were not just innocent civilians, many of Stalin's own allies were also caught up in the purge. High-ranking officials, including many who had once been close to Stalin, were rounded up and executed on trumped-up charges. The Soviet government was notorious for its use of forced confessions, with many people being tortured into confessing to crimes they did not commit. The Red Terror was a time of unimaginable brutality, where the government was willing to stop at nothing to maintain its grip on power. The stories of the victims of the Red Terror are a testament to the horrors of totalitarianism, and serve as a warning to future generations about the dangers of unchecked power. In conclusion, the Red Terror was a brutal and devastating period in Soviet history, marked by widespread fear, oppression, and a complete disregard for human life. Stalin's regime was responsible for some of the worst atrocities of the 20th century, and its impact can still be felt today. The Red Terror serves as a warning to future generations about the dangers of totalitarianism and the importance of protecting human rights and dignity. Thanks for watching. What do you think about Stalin's legacy, and how do you think we can learn from the lessons of the Red Terror? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on historical events and figures.